Hey, we are live. I had meant to play another intro. Hold on. Yes, I wanted to make sure to play that before we came in. You were watching another episode and listening to another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. It's been a minute. It's been a couple weeks since we came to you, so we wanted to do a short episode tonight. We're going to do a longer episode, a full episode tomorrow evening, where we're certainly going to react to that little old Milan Derby, first leg of the Coppa Italia semifinal tomorrow. I'm Alex Dono alongside Jerry Mancini. And Jerry, I know you really wanted to do an episode tonight to just update everyone on how you're doing. You've been pretty open on social media about your journey through mental health and mental health awareness. And, you know, you and I talk off and on frequently, but I'd love to know, and I know people out there would love to know, how are you?
The last couple of weeks have been rough, I'll be honest. I finally went to see a doctor and to kind of get the personal help that I've been neglecting for quite a while. And my depression has stemmed since college. Now, everyone who sees me on Twitter thinks that I'm happy. I tweet 20 tweets a day, and that's a psychological problem I have where I don't know when to get off Twitter and say, hey, that's enough for 3 hours and just turn it off. I always have this back in my head that the next tweet has to be the perfect one in order to sign off. And I'll be honest, I'm the guy who thinks that if it doesn't get likes, I'll delete it because it's, to me, it's like it's not good. It's something that people don't respect or don't care, or it's just, and I know it's not, it's just me having to be this person where I have to be liked. And it's because in college, university, not university, sorry, in high school, I was never appreciated and never had the respect. And when I do see the tweets that have 30 retweets, and I have the people who ask me my opinion for a player, it over the last 2 years, it really has affected me because I've never had that kind of response from people where they view my opinion and care so much. And a very short story is that back in college, I actually, and I don't say this on Twitter, I'll say it for the first time, and I've kind of, no one really knows about this, or very few, is that I tried killing myself back in college, and I popped 17 Tylenol one night for how depressed I was and just not being happy with my life, and not being liked. I used to have people who used to post notes on my back, and I would have. I remember one time in one of my high school classes, I had a guy slap me right in the back, and I threw at my desk across the room, and the teacher had to calm me down. And I just had people who would pick on me. Now, I'm not the greatest person on Twitter either. In the last year, I always say I'm no saint. I've called out people like Digby. I've called people like Romano, and I'm not gonna put anybody underneath the bus. Those are things that I shouldn't have done. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna explain why. Actions that I could have prevented as well, but
And I can interject on that. It's easy to get carried away sometimes, right? When you're on social media, even like somebody like you, Jerry, who's been like, you've been bullied in person before, and like, you know how awful that feels. I think it's easy to sometimes on social media kind of forget that, you know, there's a real person on the other end of it. And I'm sure that some of the people who, you know, who upset you and upset me sometimes on social media, they forget, you know, that we're real people. I think it just becomes really easy to pile on and make fun of people on Twitter. It's just a lot easier than it is in real life.
oh, absolutely. And that's why in 2 weeks, I got my next doctor's appointment. I did blood work last week, and me doing blood work is never good because I always faint, and I fainted again last week.
Yeah, you told me about that.
I
Damn,
fucking
man.
hate blood work. I can't do it. It's something I can't stomach. I don't know, it's all my life. But I already got the doctor who called me on Friday, and she's like, she wants to have another appointment for my health and for my mental health. So, which is good. But like, in general, like I told my doctor from the whole podcasting to writing to how the Twitter has actually affected me positively, but also negatively.
Yeah.
The negative side is that it really sucks you in, that it can really eat you apart, and like you have to be on it. You're glued. If you're not the first to tweet out the news, if you're not the first to say, hey, goal, whatever, if you're not the first to be against everybody else, some people it affects them mentally. And then the positive side is that I got a TFC gig before the COVID. I met people like you on Twitter where you're real, and
Yeah.
I always keep my guard up, because a lot of the time we don't know who these people are on Twitter. Let's be realistic. Um, there are people who put pictures of themselves like dinosaurs and freaking players, and
Yeah. Well, a
you're
lot of
yeah,
footballers on the pictures.
you're not those people. So how do I
Right.
know you're real? How do I know you're John? How do I know you're Tom? So that's a lot of the time you have to be careful too, right? And just in just over the years, sorry, over the past years, it's just gotten worse, even with COVID now. And at the beginning, I was able to manage working on the front line, but I think me just focusing just on football is not healthy for me. And I was writing 5 articles a week, and I enjoyed it at first. I did, but and I know that if you're gonna do it, don't expect to get paid. But I guess at the same time, when you pop out 300 articles, 200 articles, you're like, well, okay, where's the end game? Like, you do it for fun, you do it for enjoyment. It's a hobby. Why a hobby shouldn't be doing 10 a week? A hobby
Right.
should be doing like once a week. And if you're gonna get paid for it, yeah, then you should be pumping out 5 a week to get paid for that. Then, like, that's
Sure.
I'm making sites not richer. I'm giving them some exposure.
You're giving something away for free to them that helps them. And you're listen. I've been there, man. I've worked my entire adult life. I've worked in sports industry and the media industry, and I know like what you're saying. It speaks to me. And listen, some of the stuff I do, I get paid for. Other things, I do it for passion and for side projects. And I know what it's like to get into something because you love it and you think every single minute of every day that I'm doing this, it's going to just feel like I'm doing what I love. And I wish it was that simple, because sometimes you can reach a point like you in your writing, and I've been down this road before, where sometimes you start putting in so much time and effort and it stops being fun and it starts becoming stress and it starts becoming a job, and it's difficult, because then it's like you're taking something away from yourself that you used to enjoy so much.
No, absolutely, and it's been difficult, like I said, and the problem is that I've held this in for quite a while. That and I agree that there are. I've said it in the past where I'm going to get off Twitter. I'm going to get off Twitter and I'm going to take a break, and it's easier said than done. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest. In the past, I've done it because I want. I I like when people respond. I like the people have to say, "Oh, they care," or I have to hear the response. "Oh, look, Jerry," I won't deny it, and it's not the right. It's not the right attitude to have. It's not the right mentality to have. It's wrong, because you don't want to con people in for the wrong reason. Uh, Again, getting off Twitter, I've had people. I'm not gonna say names again. Where
Mhm.
I've said that I want to cut back on writing and I want to cut back on podcasting,
Yeah.
and I've done that in the last 2 weeks. Now, well, writing, I guess since the new year, to be honest, but and podcast is not even the issue. I would say more writing than
Right.
podcasting, because when you go on a pod, the reason why I like our pod, and I'll be honest, and I'll say this all open to a lot of people, is that when you script, you might as well just write down an article too. Like, seriously,
Right.
if you're gonna write a script for your
It's
pod,
work. Yeah, it's
it's
work.
work, man. Just put it all and put an article to it too. Like, you'll get double the content for your site. Like, I don't understand how people spend a lot of. I shouldn't say in a mean way. I'd say God bless, like, you guys have the time to do it. But the thing with Alex is that we don't script, and that's what makes it so great. Is that you come on, shoot the shit, and that's what makes potting so better. Is that you just have fun with it. Like, when you start having to write a script of 500 things and you got to have a plan for Tuesday, it's like, we don't get paid to do that, so we're good to like just talk a few things and go away. And I think that's what people like, is that you're just open and you go. But just like I was saying with the mental health, because I'm getting drifted away, but like, guys, anybody who has it, don't hold it in, because there is help out there that can help you. And like I said, for myself, I've said for the last, I would say, 6 months, and I would say Joseph Fischetti has been one of the biggest supporters in the Forza Napoli podcast, and I've grown up with him since I was like 3-4 years old, and he's been the most supportive. And he's actually said that he wouldn't help me with anything until I actually saw a doctor and finally got some help. Wow. And he lives within radius, like 5 minutes away from me. So it's more of first accepting that you do have an issue. If you can't admit it to yourself, then there's no reason to even go in the first place.
Right.
But like I was saying, like it's hard. And the day when I went to the doctor, I haven't never got blood work done. I haven't seen a doctor in over a decade. And I don't say walk-in clinics. Walk-in clinics are not doctors, guys.
No, yeah.
They're there to like see if you're sick today. They're not going to give you an actual full checkup like a family doctor.
Right, a family doctor you've seen before. They've got a chart on you and all that.
Yeah, like I haven't seen a family doctor since like high school, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I said, I think the last time I heard my doctor had cancer. Don't know, God bless if he's still alive, but like it's a battle, guys, because today I'll feel great, and then tomorrow I might feel a little bit different. And like I said, Twitter can be its best friend. It can be your enemy as well. So I know there are a lot of people who are great on Twitter and who've been supportive and open, and then you get people like yesterday where I send a picture about myself, and then the next thing you know, it becomes a meme. And I don't authorize to be a meme. I don't do that. I don't attack other people.
Yeah,
I'll like Art's in the group chat right now, and I'll use Art as an example. Art's very fun, and he'll keep it to banter within the team.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't personally go make videos of me and pictures and attack me, which I respect. I am never going to get mad at a person because he bantered my team. Like it's not me. So it's not like I'm going to go call Art and say, hey, Art, why are you making fun of Lazio?
Yeah, you have no control over it. I mean, at the end of the day, like you love Lazio. I love Inter. If, Inter can't score a goal to save their lives lately, at the end of it, you can banter me only so much. There's nothing I can do about it.
It's when people make it personal, and that kind of affects me mentally. But that's something where I just need to like learn how to just turn it off and just get off and say, forget it. But I think that's where at the beginning of Twitter it was fun. People were really engaging. I find that it's become more toxic in recent time, where people are very fragile and they get so offensive of their team, and it's like, you don't own the team. Don't worry. Right. It's not the end of the world. Do not worry. But my biggest thing is that I've personally attacked people, even IFTV, and I've actually reached out to them and I've apologized to them in the past. And I just want to be a more positive person and not be that person who I don't want to be the person that people kind of like attack me. I don't want to do the opposite and I go attack people.
You don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah, that's the word. Like it's not what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Like if you're seeking for help and you know that you need, like you've always been attacked all your life, why should I be the person doing it to others? And that's why I did that in the past on Twitter. And it's not fun because, and again, like I'm very rational. I think that something's funny, but when you really think about it, it's out there on Twitter and everyone sees it. So when I embarrass myself, that's fine. I don't care. Like I do it to myself, but when you're doing it to others, it comes with a consequence. And like I'll even say another one, and I'll say on the record because, and I'll apologize to him, is Sean McIntosh. And I said last month I told him to F himself, and I overreacted over a tweet where he kind of bantered me about Inter, and sometimes you get into the moment where you kind of like lose control and your emotions kind of get the best of you, and I know that Sean didn't mean any harm, and like I said, I'm no stranger to apologize to those, and he's a good guy, and
Yeah.
I don't think he meant any harm. But sometimes when I'm always being pushed consistently of being an Inter fan, it does get to my head where I don't like to be labeled as something that I'm not, because my platform is to talk about all football, any teams, but my team's always Lazio, but I talk about Inter because I know a lot about them. I'll talk about Juve, I'll talk about Milan, but the thing is, Inter is that you're my co-host. I have my father, and it's just there's a lot of history between the two clubs. So, and like I always say, Inter fans are always respectful to me. I've never had one Inter fan who's ever beefed with me, ever.
Even Big Show is nice to you, even.
Yeah, he's super nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why he gets attacked by some people, but that's a whole different topic and a whole can of worms. But I'll say that Big Show is a really nice guy and is harmless.
Yeah.
Harmless. Like, so, yeah, again, I don't know the world that people think that you have to only cheer for one team. And I know it's pity stuff that I'm talking about probably, but it does affect some people, because when you have to hear it 5 times a week, 10 times a week, it does get annoying after a while, and it does get underneath your skin, and it kind of affects you mentally, because you're reading that and you don't know how to perceive it, right? So, but overall, I have been getting help. I am, like it's gonna be a battle for me, but I do plan on wanting to beat this, and yeah,
You will, man. You will. And I you know this, and I want you to know that you have so many people that care about you, and I think because I have experience going through what you're going through, and it's never like it's never something you completely win. Like I've had mental health struggles. I've been to therapy before, and it really helped me. So I hope that's something you're getting into. I know you're seeing a doctor, and I would imagine that the therapy sessions are down the road for you as well. And every therapist is different. Like they all study, different schools of thought and stuff. The one that I use, Jerry, helped me so much. And listen, my struggles are not the same as your struggles. Mine were unique to me. Yours, I'm sure, are unique to you. Some of the big things that he taught me is sometimes you can't set like unrealistic expectations for yourself, because if you don't meet them, then it's like every day you lost a battle, and that's going to weigh on you. Something that I know you're going through this with the Twitter stuff. It like, for the most part, it doesn't really matter what other people say. And I know it's easier said than done. I could say that. Living it and internalizing it is a different thing. It's something I've gotten better at. It's not something that I think anybody can master, because, it is hard to see some of this stuff that everybody has to see when they log in to that app. But you said it best. Like a lot of these people who are big time D-bags, or they're not even real people. It's like they got like a Ronaldinho avatar, and they got a T-Rex avatar or something. And you just and also don't go out of your way to put yourself through an experience that is going to trigger you. And like, not saying get off Twitter, but don't be afraid to use the mute button. Don't be afraid to use the block button. Don't be afraid to make it, an experience that's just not going to like put yourself in turmoil. And, sometimes, and like, listen, I know what you're saying, why it's like, it's hard to get off Twitter, because it's like, for a lot of us, that's my newspaper. Like, that's how I know what's going on with the world. That's how I know what's going on in football. That's how I know, what's going on, in Ukraine these days. That's how I know what's going on, like financial charts and things that I follow. But maybe just don't tweet as much for a while, because like, dude, there are some times, like I can remember a couple months ago, I was like on my way out, my wife and I going out to our anniversary dinner. and I sent out like this trolling tweet, had nothing to do with Serie A, because I cover the NFL as well. And I sent out this like NFL related trolling tweet, and I knew, oh, my timeline's going to go crazy. And then like I'm about to go to dinner, so I can't see what people are saying, trashing me or responding to me, and it kind of drove me crazy. So it's like, just, you know, so just maybe read some tweets. You don't have to tweet 20 times a day, and just like don't go out of your way to put yourself in situations like, you know, if people want you to write 20 freaking articles a week, sometimes you have to say no. Like if you know, if everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to invite you on your podcast, I know you're a popular guy. You get a lot of respect. You get a lot of requests for that stuff. Sometimes you got to say no, and the world is going to keep on spinning.
No, absolutely. I think my biggest thing is that when I wake up at 5 a.m. for work, 4:30, right away, the first thing I do is Twitter. I'm looking at I don't leave my house till 6. I'm on my phone for an hour, and I need to learn that. My biggest problem is if I don't tweet today, if I don't send out anything, content, anything, I feel like I let people down on Twitter.
Yeah, stop feeling that way. It's like
that's my biggest.
Not a
that's
big
my
deal.
biggest issue is that I think that if I don't talk for a day, it's like I let somebody down. But really, I keep on forgetting that no one gives a shit. Like at the end of the day, like no one cares if I tweeted or not today.
Well, the thing is, people might care, but it shouldn't really matter to you if they do or don't. Like you don't owe them anything. Like think of it that way. Like, yeah, they're probably, you got a lot of followers. There's probably some people like, oh, you know, I love when Jerry tweets out banter or strong opinions. You don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah, it's true. That's where I forget that you do it on your time. You don't just
exactly.
It has affected my work too. I won't lie. I'll be at work and I'll stop in the middle of the aisle just to like send out a soccer tweet or something. It's like why though? I'm not even getting paid for it. But again, it's the mentality of me. But this is not to like make people feel bad for me, guys. That's not what I'm here to do. I want you to know that. I don't want you to go home, oh, I feel bad for that guy. No. I want to be open and honest because I haven't been a good individual myself for the last year. I say on Twitter, yeah, my banter is fun, but when it becomes more personal and I attack people and I think it's funny, it's not. I just don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to attack a Romano. I can give a shit what he does and what if it's corrupt or not. I don't care. That's his business. At the end of the day, that will come back to haunt him. There's no point because, again, that's a whole different story. But like Digby's never done anything wrong to me, so I don't want to attack him. IFTV's never done anything wrong to me. Maybe people are indifferent about their opinions or whatever it may be. That at the end of the day,
and I want to add on that note, they seem like genuinely great dudes because you told me when you reached out to Marco, you know, to kind of, you know, to say like, hey, sorry about, because, you know, you didn't really say anything bad, but it got people going and people were going after you. And then like he was really cool with you. So like I respect those guys, man. They work really hard and they seem like good dudes.
No, absolutely. Like I know I understand some people may feel indifferent because his father or whatever the heck the history is. I don't know his family. Twitter world has been existing for over a decade, it seems. I just grew into it 2 years ago and didn't know that this even existed since 2010 or who knows.
I've been on there since 2009. I think it was like 07 or 08 it was launched, something like that.
That's when Twitter didn't exist to me. And that's when technology was all bullshit. And it still is to me personally. But again, you can't look at what other people think. And that's my whole life is that I'm a follower, and it's bad. I'm very easy to be like to like get suckered into do something and thinking it's funny. Oh my god, I should do it, and not thinking for myself that it's not the right thing. Why am I doing something for somebody else when they should do it themselves? If it's so funny and they want to attack somebody, they should put themselves out there, not yourself. But yeah, guys, my whole I just wanted to open up, tell you why we haven't been doing podcasting for the last 2 weeks.
Well, part of that's my fault. I was on vacation last week. It's not all you, buddy.
Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
I would have stayed there.
I was tempted, but I was going to run out of money real quick if I stayed there any longer.
But I'm grateful to the people who I don't know on Twitter, but have been supportive and still being decent people and taking the time out of their day. My family's been supportive, my wife, everybody. So it's nice to know that there are people who, especially now, like in the last 2 years, where it's kind of a weird time because, well, I guess depending where you live, right? But when you don't have things open, when you don't have people going out as regularly, because, and I respect if they're not comfortable because of COVID or whatever it may be, right? You got to respect that still. And Twitter has been another channel where some people have been open and receptive. I had Mario Galliani call me today, and he's been fantastic, great guy as well. So there have been some people on and Nando's been another one who basically, even though I've never met them or I've met them in some capacity, have been still good people. So I'm very appreciative and supportive, and I respect that. So, like I said, this is not a. This is just to open up, and hopefully others will follow suit that kind of have this issue, and not to hold it in, because I've noticed that the longer I hold this in, the worse it gets, and especially mentally, where like I said, there's days where you're fine, and you might wake up on the wrong side the next day, and it's scary. There's been time, like the doctor asked me if I ever planned my own suicide, and I go, I've never planned it, but I've thought about doing it before, and recently, it's crossed my mind where it's been there, but have I kind of like drew it out and actually attempted? Not this time, no. But yeah, it can get scary some days where you just don't want to be here anymore, and you just want to be gone. So, but it's
and that again, like that goes back to, and it's something I struggle with as well. Struggled and struggle, because there's really no past tense on it. It's like you got to remember that you can't set these unrealistic expectations. That's what, because if you're constantly creating what you should be doing and what should be happening and the way you should be interacting with other people and the goals you should be achieving, if you can't reach it because you just haven't been realistic, it hurts. Like, it really freaking hurts, and it makes it difficult. And I respect so much what you're doing, because I know it's not easy to talk about, but you outline how important and why it's so important to talk about it. And I think this openness is so important because, like, I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there, where you see somebody talking about their own struggles, and it just helps to know that, like, there's other people that are dealing with what I'm dealing with. Like, it makes me feel stronger to know that, and I hope it does make you feel stronger as well. And I hope you know that by you talking about it, you're making somebody else out there feel stronger if they're having similar feelings and they've gone through this as well.
No, absolutely, I appreciate that.
Of course,
but I'll kind of drift off because I don't want to be here for another hour. I know that you have a long day tomorrow too, but I'm not going to talk about Napoli Lazio tonight because we have a Napoli guest coming on tomorrow.
Ooh.
or Wednesday. Steph Cioffi, and he said that he would prefer Tuesday night, but Wednesday he can do. I have a university class till 8:00, so after 8:00 on Wednesday. But yeah, either tomorrow or Wednesday we're gonna have a Napoli guest on. So I'm more interested in not talking about Lazio today, how that game ended. I don't know.
Oh my God, dude, that was pain. I'm not a Napoli or Lazio fan. I'm an Inter fan, so I was a little bit hoping you guys would win. But man, that was 94th minute, man. That was a shocker.
No, absolutely. But I think we should talk about Inter, their game tomorrow against Milan, and I think the main talking point is Lautaro Martinez and the fact that Marici has more goals and assists than Lautaro Martinez in 2022. And I'm going to throw that out. Lautaro Martinez, I would sell him in the summer. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely would. And this is one of those things where hindsight is always 2020. You think about, oh man, Tottenham were interested last year. Inter and Lautaro rejected the move. I wish maybe we should have gotten something for it. It was tough. Like, I think, and you know what? Also, I know it's possible he can find form again,
But how many times have we talked about it, Jerry? And not just this season, like the last 3 seasons. How many times have we talked about it on this pod? Lautaro, we know, is capable of putting together incredible performances and scoring beautiful goals and having great games. But the guy has always been inconsistent. Now, he's probably in, I don't think there's any question right now, this current run of form since the new year, this is probably the single worst, longest period of bad form he's had in an Inter shirt. So this is like his stock is probably right now lower than it's ever been, if I'm being honest here. So is he capable of snapping out of it and finishing the season strong? Yes, but I will never forget, and I don't want any Interista to ever forget, that he is always prone to just having his form fall off a cliff for weeks, if not months at a time. And so, yeah, if there's an opportunity, and I need him to do something between now and the end of the year, because, Jerry, if he keeps playing like this, you're not going to get much value for him. Like, honestly, like if he keeps playing like this, a player that maybe a summer, 2 summers ago could have sold for, 70, 80 million, you may be getting like 30 billion euro offers for him, and you may not even want to sell. So I hope he hits some kind of form. But yeah, if you have an opportunity, and I think Inter will have an opportunity with some competition, to bring in Gianluca Scamacca, and there's always going to be links to maybe a Romelu Lukaku return. How feasible that is, I don't know, but yeah, I would look at every option on the table, and I would say if I can get a good price in return for Lautaro Martinez, yeah, I make that deal, because if he's going to be this inconsistent, that's going to cost you trophies. It may very well cost Inter a Scudetto this season, because a couple months ago it looked like it was just, Inter may finish double digits ahead of the field like they did last year. Now they very well may not win it. Like, obviously playing like this, they're not going to win the Scudetto. They're not going to win Coppa Italia either playing like this. So yeah, I would strongly consider selling him.
I don't know. People are saying that if Lukaku had stayed with Inter, they wouldn't be this bad and he'd be scoring. I don't guarantee that, because you don't know how he would fit under Simone Inzaghi, because he plays a different style compared to Conte. He had a relationship with Conte that was like glue, okay? People are forgetting those two fought for each other, and Conte has always wanted Lukaku because the way he plays is Conte ball. Physical, runs hard, plays with his back against the defense. Everything he does, he contributes to a 3-5-2. And the way Inzaghi plays is not very the same style that Conte plays. And he's not very demanding on his players. Inzaghi, he's not
Right.
very – the physicality is not as intense. For me, you sell Lautaro and – you hope for the best of what you can get for him, and you reinvest it into a new striker like Scamacca. The question now, because you're stuck with Lautaro Martinez, so you got to deal with what you got to do for the rest of the season. You have to figure out how to get the best out of him. But what kills me about Inzaghi is, and I give credit to Sharma, he sent out a tweet today about Inter fans questioning the depth of Inter, and he's right. This team won the Scudetto last year with basically the same roster with add-ons. Dumfries was an add-on that they signed. Correa, and those are two that come to my mind. Here's the last one where I do not understand why he's not playing. And again, Inzaghi does it, and he wanted this player, Felipe Caicedo. Why isn't he playing when he's healthy? I don't agree with this. Like, he should start tomorrow. If you really want my personal number 9, that should be starting tomorrow for Inter, Caicedo. Now, Caicedo,
and I'm not going to argue it, because there's not a single informed striker. So it's like Alexis was very hot for about a month and a half. He's hit a cold streak. Dzeko has hit a cold streak, which it's going to happen from time to time. He's 35 years old. And Lautaro is in the worst cold streak of his career. So, yeah, I'm not going to argue with giving Caicedo a chance.
It's just stupid. Like, and I know he only costs 800,000. But that's not. Don't look at the numbers of what you. If you're gonna talk like that, there's no even point of buying a player for 800,000. You should just leave him at Genoa. He'd probably be playing more. Caicedo is there to play for these games. He should be playing tomorrow because you have a weekend game. I don't know who you guys are playing, to be honest, on the weekend.
I think it's Salernitana, I believe.
Oh, on Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Okay, so you're playing tomorrow, and then you got to play Friday. That's 3 days rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you gonna play Lautaro Martinez and Dzeko in a Coppa Italia game tomorrow, and then have to play them on Friday? Yeah, okay,
Right.
it's Salernitana, but they didn't forget that they got killed against Inter 6-1.
And plus, dude, it's like they have no more margin for error. They just dropped points against Genoa. They lost to Sassuolo. It's like, and I know Sassuolo's not an easy out, but still, these are games that you are. And the Sassuolo game was at home. These are games you are supposed to win. You can't fuck around with Salernitana. No matter how bad they may be, you still, because it's the Serie A and you need points. You're trying to defend your Scudetto. Honestly, and you know, and of course, let's remember the Coppa Italia. It's a two-legged tie, and I think tomorrow is going to be Milan's home game. So the away goal rules are in effect for this. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you had to choose best 11, you can only play your best 11 one of these next two games. I think I would play it against Salernitana. Some people would disagree with that, but just to me, the competition in Serie A is so much more important than the Coppa Italia.
Against the fans have to ask, what do you value more, a Coppa Italia or a Scudetto? Man, if I was Inter, I would say Scudetto.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Fuck, if I could rewind 2019-20 and what it would mean to win that Scudetto for Lazio had the COVID never happened, like this is where Simone Inzaghi really has to figure it out because he has a squad given to him that has players he can call off the bench. Now he needs to figure out how to put it together because he did it with Lazio.
Yeah.
In 2019-20, he was going to win the Scudetto because he had the squad playing once a week. But now he needs to figure out, like, he obviously is going to, I don't know, and you guys have Liverpool next week, I think, as well.
Yeah, which is like, and honestly, they lost it in the first leg. Like they're not, I'm sure they won't do this, but I wouldn't blame them if they played the Primavera side in Anfield. Like, it's just like, you lost the first leg 2-0 home. It's like you can kiss it. You're not gonna win by, you know, a 3-goal margin or a 2-goal margin and get to extra time in Anfield. It's not going to happen. Like, I just I think you just need to look at that competition and say, hey, we met our objective. We got to the round of 16. The second leg, it's unwinnable. We cannot advance. We need to manage our squad.
I honestly thought that Inter could win it back when you guys drew Liverpool. I'll be honest. I was one of the few people who thought Inter was going to win it, but that was in hindsight.
Well, they actually they played like run a play. They played really well, but the problem is the attack has completely gone dry. Like if they could have scored, like they had so many chances, like in the first half, early in the second half. If they could have buried a chance, the rest of the game could have gone different. I and listen, I'm not saying like they deserve to win or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sound biased here. I'm just saying that, like, in the run of play, for what that's worth, Inter looked really good. Just Liverpool was so much more clinical. They only had a couple of chances. They buried both their chances.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, and not having Barella, it does really make a big difference. And
they started Arturo Vidal. It's like, what do you expect?
Well, you didn't have Vecino because he was injured, I believe, so he wasn't available.
Right.
I didn't know that, actually. I was wondering why Inzaghi only made like 2 substitutes in that game, and Sharma was telling me that he had a lot of players out. I thought he brought on Alexis Sanchez too late in that game, waited too long to bring him in, and people are saying that Dzeko's a bust now. Dzeko this. I think they got more than they can bargain for with Dzeko. Okay, it was always going to happen when the goals were going to dry up from him. Like, he wasn't there to give 30 goals in a season. Dzeko's not the issue, because I think that even when he hasn't been scoring, he's been consistently good. But with Martinez, he's just overall bad. I bantered him on Friday because he didn't score off the bench. Yeah. And people are like, oh, but he played good for 20 minutes. He did some good stuff. And it's like,
his job to score.
Sorry.
I don't give a shit what he did
Yeah.
good of. And
Yeah.
I had an Inter fan come at me. He's like, "Oh, what did Cheeto do yesterday?" What did Cheeto do? I'll tell you what Cheeto did. Cheeto came back from an injury and provided a goal and an assist on Thursday. Played his head off. The guy just came back from an injury, played 2 games in 3 days. What do you expect him yesterday to do? Like he came back more for the Europa League game to try to help us.
Right.
That's where I see the difference between. Hey, I always banter and say that Lautaro would always want to beat Cheeto. Yeah, he has a Scudetto, absolutely, but he didn't win that on his own. Just remember that.
No,
like, you know what I mean? Like
Lukaku, Hakimi, Conte.
Yeah, like that was
Barella.
not just Lautaro.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't have Lukaku last year, Lautaro was not as effective.
He was immense, Lukaku, last year. He was immense. And listen, like I get what you were saying earlier about like how, Lukaku a better fit with Conte than he would probably be with Inzaghi. Like still though, I've got to think, and obviously he's not having a good year in Chelsea, but a lot of that to me is psychological. He was in a great place psychologically with Inter. Like would he be as dangerous under Inzaghi as under Conte? Maybe not, probably not. But I've got to think he'd be better than what the senior citizens and Lautaro, who has no excuse. I've got to think that Lukaku would be doing better right now.
No, he did it himself. He just needs to learn how to keep his mouth shut. He is like, okay, I don't want to be sexist, guys. He's like a chick when a girl's on a period, and she just goes emotional. Okay, I speak from experience, and I'm just saying, like when a girl goes on her period of the month, they go either high or low, and that's how he is. He's high and low, man. Like it's really bad where he's okay today, tomorrow he's all emotional and like
right.
And I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, guys. Like that's not where I'm trying to come off on here. It's just the best way to describe it because
moody.
Yeah, they're moody. Yeah, and why are you doing an interview in the middle of the season talking about Inter already? Do that in 2 years. Like he shot himself in the foot at the end of the day, and I don't blame Inter fans who don't want him back. Those are the ones I like the most because
I'd say I'm kind of annoyed. Like I would take him back. I mean, if nothing else, I know he loves the club and he did great at the club for 2 years. So like I can understand why Chelsea fans may not like him, but I'm one of the Inter fans who does still like him, and I would take him back.
He left for money, man. Remember that. Could have stayed.
People do, yeah, but the thing is, like, I guess I'm so jaded because people do that in every sport, every country. People leave for money. It happens, and if nothing else, man, he left for money, and I think that this experience has taught him that there are more important things than money. So I think he would probably not do it again if he had the opportunity. He would say, you know what, I'm going to appreciate what I have.
I think the players have to learn to say that you're not committed long term to a team. Mm-hmm. You're tied to the team. I love the team. I'm going to stay here. You kiss the badge and you're like, yeah, this is what I only care about. And in 1 season, you're gone. Like your words speak loud. You know what I mean? Like you got to be careful what you say. And I think that's happened to Lukaku and even Hakimi, where he's like, oh, I'm never going to leave this. And he points at his badge. And it's like, bro, don't do that, man. Like that's where I have a lot of respect for Savage. Where
for sure.
7 years he's been with the club. Okay. Yeah. If he runs out his contract, he'll be with the club for 9 years. And people are saying he could have done better with his life. He could have done if he had gone to a bigger club, more ambitious. Who's to say that if he went to Juventus, he would be the same player under Allegri?
You never know.
We don't
know.
I think people don't understand that you can't just say, oh, if he went to Milan, he'd be more successful. He'd be winning right now. Who's to say he plays well with Kessié or whoever it may be? Who's to say that he piles up with Tonali? He built a relationship with Luis Alberto. So when I hear people say, oh, he's wasting his life away. No, being at Lazio for 7 years put him on the map because he's the guy who starts every game. Like he goes to Inter. There's a chance that maybe he wasn't the starter. Maybe it doesn't work out the way it was. Maybe it doesn't fit the system. Maybe Inzaghi was the guy for 5 years that he needed and not somebody else. Like these are things you can't like. If you go back and say, oh, if he left 3 years earlier, he would have been this. It's like, who's to say that, man? Like, And people are like, oh, Sarri is going to ruin him, but I think Sarri made him a better player. I think Sarri has improved Savage more than what Inzaghi has done in 5 years. Okay,
Wow.
I swear to God, I think that
Wow.
he even said it himself. I've never heard Inzaghi say that this is the best player I've ever worked with his skills and mentality. Sarri outright said this is one of the best players I ever managed. And look the way he plays under Sarri. He's more. It looks like he has more freedom under Sarri, where he plays all over the pitch, whereas Inzaghi limited his game and didn't want. At the beginning, he wanted him attacking, and then he took it away and became more of a defensive holding midfielder. Where if you watch Savage now, he's attack minded. He controls the middle of the park, and he's in the defense. He's all over the place, and that's why, like, does the Savage the freedom, the role that he has with Lazio, would he get that with Real Madrid? What would he be walking into? And that's why I think that sometimes Savage hasn't left, because he's comfortable with what he's given. Yeah, maybe he does want to win, and that might come to a point now where he's thinking about that. But I've never heard Savage say that he's wanted to leave the club. He no longer wants to stay. That's people in media just twisting things. And
yeah, exactly.
If you want to talk about a player who wants to leave, that's Luis Alberto. Then we'll all agree. Like, when you're talking about how you want to go to Spain back one day, yeah, you're not implying that you want to leave, but you're throwing it out there, and it's not a good look. But and to answer Gerald's question, Satriano was not loaned out too early. The guy was never going to play under Inzaghi.
Right. And like, I think anybody would have done what they did, right? Because Satriano seemed too inexperienced. Oh, we can go bring in Caicedo, and listen, it's early still for Caicedo. It may end up where he may score some big goals. I don't know. He may not. He may score some big goals, make a difference in some games as a sub, whatever. But yeah, listen, just because Satriano may be balling now and nobody's scoring, it made sense at the time, right? Loan him out for experience, because you need players young. What is he, like 18, 19 years old? You need to play. Like, you need experience. You need to play. You're not going to get that regularly at Inter at his age. You know, same thing with Esposito a couple of years ago. He wasn't going to get that experience. You know, Pinamonti, although I don't really rate Pinamonti, but, you know, he wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time here. So you have to send him somewhere where he can't. Hey, I've got to run, Jerry, and everybody.
I'll end. Hold on. I'll just end one thing to that. Inzaghi was never going to play Satriano. I honestly thought that coming to Inter, he was going to change, and maybe he'll start to play some of the young guys. Not happening. Well, Morrow, last year none of our under 24 players played a single minute to the last game of the season.
Wow.
Yeah, Raul Morrow was about to leave the club. He wanted to leave, and we're going to lose him on nothing. We signed him to a 5-year contract, luckily, because Inzaghi left. I've seen Sarri play young players more this year than I've seen Inzaghi done in the last 2 years. Raul Morrow played this year. Luca Romero has played this year. Those are the two players that we have that are ready to play. I would say at least minimal, but yeah, that was the right decision. Any young guys, send them out. There's no need to keep a player who's going to play 5 minutes a season. No sense.
Yeah, no, it's hard. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. We're gonna have another episode, and probably a longer episode, either tomorrow night or Wednesday night. You know, we'll talk about the Coppa Italia semifinals. Look at the Serie A weekend coming up. And Jerry, man, huge shout out, because I know sharing everything you shared isn't easy, and I think it is therapeutic, and I hope it was therapeutic for you, my friend. So be well, and we'll talk in a day or two.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
Of course, man. Jerry Mancini, and I'm Alex Dono. We'll talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Calcio